I hate this lighting because it makes, I don't know, it's weird, but I don't know. All right, guys, so Facebook is a beast within itself. It takes a lot to really learn Facebook. So it's not hard, but it can take a lot to learn little tricks that you need to do in order to make it work, right? So it's not hard to learn just the skill set of setting up and running ads, but those tips and tricks that you really need in order to be successful can sometimes, slip right over your head. So we're gonna talk about it, right? So we'll dive straight into it. So tip number one that I really do have for you guys is you only have one ad set, okay? You can't run Facebook ads with one ad set, especially when you're first launching, right? So when you're on Facebook, when you're on Instagram, you're just on Facebook Ads Manager and you decide, okay, I want to go ahead and run some Facebook ads. And you get to the section, the ad set level, where you have to choose your audience, right? So with that being said, you say, okay, I have, a makeup brush that, I don't know, changes colors. I don't know, y'all, whatever y'all be selling. I have a makeup brush and it's self-cleaning. It's like a self-cleaning makeup brush, right? And so you think, oh, obviously I want to target people who are interested in makeup brushes. Well, yeah, you do. You want to tag, and look and make sure you're doing your product research about those kind of individuals. And obviously when you do your product research or your market research around a makeup brush that self-cleans, obviously people who are interested in makeup brushes are going to be interested in it, right? And so obviously when setting up your ad set, you want to choose, you most likely want to choose women who are interested in makeup brushes and things of that nature. And then you say, okay, cool, that's it. But that's not it. That's not it, sis. You cannot just do one asset, because what you think might be the winning asset actually might not be. And Facebook will tell you, Facebook will be like, no, your thoughts. So the most important thing to do is run multiple ad sets, right? And typically I do up to 4, and some people I know do up to 8. So it really just depends, right? So if you have a budget of $1,000 a month for your Facebook ads, that's going to get you at about $33 a day. What I would suggest is you break up that $1,000 a month. That would be your overall campaign budget. But what will happen with the campaign is that if you set up 4 different assets or 4 different audiences, then that $1,000 would be split up between all 4 audiences, right? So what I would do is, of course, if I have a makeup brush that cleans itself, I would target women, who are interested in makeup brushes. But then I will also do a second ad set or audience, and I would just target women in general. Just women, nothing, no makeup related, just a broad audience, because I kind of want to see what happens if I take away the actual makeup brush, tag, and see what happens, right? But then I'll probably go ahead and do another one, right? I'll tag women who are interested in fashion, right? Because if you're interested in makeup, beauty, makeup brushes, and things of that nature, then you're probably interested in fashion as well, right? So now I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna target women who are interested in Pretty Little Thing, Fashion Nova, Boohoo, Forever 21, all these other different things, right? Because if you are interested in a makeup brush, whether it be self-cleaning or not, then you're probably going to be interested in fashion, right? So now that's my third ad set or audience, right? So we have people who are genuine, just makeup brushes, women who are interested in makeup brushes. That's number one. That's like a duh moment, right? Duh, we want to target those people. But then we also want to just target women in general. What happens when I just target women? Nothing else tagged to it, just women. And then fashion, right? So that's 3. That's already 3 audiences right there. And then you want to do another audience, right? So another audience could just be makeup artists, right? Makeup artists. So not just women in general. I want to target makeup artists, right? So then in that case, you can even target men, because there's men makeup artists as well. So right now we're targeting men and women who are or have the title of makeup artist. So essentially, you don't want to just target one audience, because what if that one audience doesn't work? Now what? It just doesn't work. So you want to go ahead and test multiple audiences and see which one is performing the best. When you find the audience that's performing the best, then you can turn the other audiences off and just put most of that money, that spend behind that one or two audience that's working the best. So that's tip number one. Don't just go into Facebook Ads Manager and set up ads with one ad set, one audience. When I say ad set equals audience. Ad set equals audience, right? So do multiple audience so we can know which one works. All right, tip number two. So tip number two is, it kind of is similar to tip number one. You're only testing one audience, right? We were talking about that. Now let's talk about you only testing one image or one video. Sis or sir or brother, that's the worst. Don't do that. Don't do that. Do not set up a Facebook or Instagram ads campaign and just use one image or one video. That's Facebook ads suicide, and that's probably that's probably one of the top reasons why a lot of people actually fail in ads, because they do everything right, and then they get to the part where you're supposed to actually build your beautiful ad, and the ad is beautiful, but it's only one ad. That does not work. Let me tell you why. It's very similar to the first tip, because how do you know they gonna like that picture or that video? How do you know it resonates with them? It speaks to their soul, right? It's engaging to them. Maybe it looks good to you, but maybe it's not engaging to them. So what you wanna do when you get to the actual ad level, you want to make sure you're using multiple images and videos. I would say at minimum, I do more, but at minimum 4. I'll do more than 4 personally. I'll do up to 6, but you want to do at least 4 pieces of assets. When I say assets, I mean creatives. Assets equals creatives. And that can be video, that can be boomerang, that could be a GIF, that could be a still image, but do not just use one creative, right? Because if that creative does not get us conversions, that one creative, we don't really know, is it the creative that they didn't like? Or is it the copy that they didn't like, right? Or am I targeting the wrong audience, right? So when you have only one image, one creative, you don't know what the issue is. If the ad doesn't work, I don't know why it doesn't work, right? But if I split test it against another image, I have image 1, image 2, and they have the exact same copy, and image 1 doesn't work, but image 2 does work, right? Or they have different copies, then now I know why it didn't work, which brings us into the next tip, your copy. Your copy. You're only testing one copy, right? So if I have image 1 and image 2, I have copy 1 and copy 2. Copy 2 and image 2 does not work. I'm not getting any sales off of that, but image 1 and copy 1 is working real well. It got me like 10 sales. So guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna duplicate that and make very similar ads to what is working, right? So you wanna make sure you're split testing. That is the tip of the day. That's the theme of the day, split testing, right? So you want to make sure when you're creating copy, you're not just going with one copy in the same way that you're not just going with one image, one video, one boomerang. You have to make sure you have multiple pieces of creatives and multiple pieces of copy. Take all those pieces of creative and take all those pieces of copy and exchange them. Put copy 1 with image 1, put copy 2 with image 3, put image 3 with copy 1. You want to mix up all these different creatives in these copies and see what works best. Test what works best. So that would be tip number 3. Make sure that you have multiple copies that you can test against your multiple creatives. Okay, perfect. Now, beyond you needing to be able to, have these different copies, you want to make sure just outside of, split testing different copies, your copy actually talks to your audience, right? Because a lot of people, they create very general, basic copy. For instance, with the makeup brush, like, hey girls, 20% off our new makeup brush. It cleans itself. Go get it. Like, you really have to take your time and invest in sit down time where you can actually write multiple pieces of copy that actually speaks to your audience. So for me, if I was going to be targeting makeup artists with this brush, I would say, hey MUAs, are you tired of, something like, hey MUAs, are you tired of manually washing your brush after each client? We have a simple solution for you. Our self-cleaning brush, this week only 25% off. Get yours today, right? So what I did was I actually spoke to my audience, right? And so that's the importance of having multiple different copies, because if you're running multiple ad sets, like I told you earlier on tip 1, then you need to be able to talk to each one of those, right? So for instance, hey MUAs, hey makeup lovers, hey ladies, you want to be able to call out specifically who your audience is and specifically talk to their experience, right? The experience of an MUA is, hey, you have clients and you're probably tired of washing those brushes after each client. I have an option for you, right? If we're talking to just women in general, hey ladies, hey gals, when you're doing your makeup to go on a date, isn't it frustrating how you have to wash your brush? You want to specifically use that copy and talk to each one of those separate groups. You don't want one basic copy speaking to all those groups. It's not going to work in that way because it's not really going to speak to them. And we need to know anyway, for data purposes, which copy works best. Okay? Okay. The next tip is that you're not paying attention to your frequency. And frequency is very important. Frequency basically tells you how many times people are seeing the exact same ad over and over again. So basically this tip is a tip to help you realize that you have to be able to read your data that Facebook's give you. Frequency is super important. Frequency is saying, girl, I done seen your ad 10 times and I still haven't clicked on it. I don't like it. It's not resonating with me. And so if your frequency gets at 3 or above, that means people are seeing your ad time and time and time again, and they're still not actually clicking on it. So even if you're targeting the right audience, and the audience is like some hot leads, right? It's a hot audience, and they're the right audience, if they don't see an ad that speaks to them, even though they may truly be interested in a self-cleaning makeup brush, maybe that particular image or those particular videos or particular copy isn't really speaking to them or resonating with them to make them actually want to buy. And so that they're not. So they just keep seeing the ad over and over and over and over and over again, and they're not making any action. They're not clicking on the ad. They're not clicking on your website. They're not making purchases. So now, number one, you're wasting marketing dollars because you're continuing to show the same ad to the same people, wasting marketing dollars because they've already told us they're not going to purchase. Now your cost per click is going to continue to grow and skyrocket. So now you're even wasting even more dollars. So when you see your frequency start to reach 3, you want to make sure that you're actually changing something about your ad, right? You're changing the image, you're changing the copies, you're changing the audience. You have to go in and make those changes, because when a frequency gets to 3 or higher, it gets high, it's telling you that I'm continuing to see the same ad over and over. So maybe you need to try a different audience, because clearly this audience continues to see this. Or maybe you need to try a new image or new copy, because the audience who is seeing it, even though it's a good audience, they don't like the ad and they're not clicking on it. So it's very important to pay attention to the frequency, because as a Facebook ads expert, a lot of times when I have my one-on-ones with my clients and they come in and I audit their accounts, a lot of time they're running the same ads for forever, and they're like, it's not working, like people aren't clicking on it and I'm not getting conversions. And I see their frequency, and their frequency is like a 4 or 5 to 6, and it's like, whoa, This is why your ads aren't working, because the same people are seeing the same ads and they're not taking any action. So then you need to go in and make some proper changes, right? So that's tip number 5. Tip number 6 is your placements. When you're going in on the audience level to select the placements where your ads will show, a lot of people go ahead, especially when they're new, they will go ahead and do automatic placements because it's what's recommended by Facebook to be the most valuable. But as an actual Facebook ads expert, as a person who's been doing ads for like almost 7 years, I know that is not what you need to do. You need to choose manual placements, right? And when you're choosing manual placements, you have to understand your audience and understand where they hang out, right? Does your audience spend most of their time on their Facebook feed or Instagram feed? Or do they spend more time on stories? Do they hang out a lot in Messenger? Do they spend time in Messenger? Are they on Instagram Explorer? Are they in Instagram Shop? Are they in Audience Network, in-stream articles? Right, a lot of us don't even know what in-stream articles are. Exactly, but you're spending your money on in-stream articles and wasting your marketing dollars on in-stream articles when you choose automatic. You don't even know what in-stream articles are. You probably don't even know that you saw an in-stream article, and you sure didn't click on it, right? So why would you be spending your money there? Do you think women who are interested in a self-cleaning makeup brush, do they spend majority of their time on the feed in story, or do they spend more time in like Messenger, in-stream article type of weird places? Which one? They're probably spending most of their time on feeds and stories. So you need to choose manual placements, and you need to manually choose where you want your ads to run and not waste their money in places that this audience does not hang out with, because now you're eating up marketing dollars and your ads aren't going to be working in those places. You're going to be spending money and not getting conversions because you're like, why am I not getting conversions? Because your ads aren't in the right place. So that's tip number 5. So those are all my tips, guys, for you today. I just want to come into a quick little video because a lot of people were asking me like, my ads aren't working, what am I not doing right? And it's really simple stuff that you really need to know in order to fix these ads. And once you implement this, I think you'll see a lot of sales, a lot of conversions, a lot of leads coming in, ladies. So make sure you do that. And make sure you're doing those tips and implementing those tips. And I can't wait to see you, ladies and gentlemen, next time.